This hour is brought to you by Jeremy Temple Law Office of Bloomington. Personal injury, criminal, business, whatever you need, Jeremy Temple Law Office will get you taken care of.
Well, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin-yang, come along.
Well, come on along and welcome aboard the Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle Leary, coming to you on this Friday, February 21 from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Welcome aboard. Jim Coyle with you, my running mate Tyler Leary here as well, and Jake keeping us on the track. Hope your week has been a good one, ready for the weekend. If not, we're going to get you heading that direction. What a great show we've got today. Man, we try to always do it great on Fridays, but man, I know we may have outdone ourselves. Dean Garrett, former national champion from the 1987 team, on the program today. Angelo PIzzo, the creator of Hoosiers, is with us today as well. Looking forward to all that. Indiana takes on Penn State this weekend. Looking forward to that. Lots to get to. Todd Leary, how's it going, man?
Going great. Friday, it's essentially the same as game day, considering we'll have another show before the game on Sunday, so I'm excited.
We'll make it game day. It's kind of like game day. We'll
kind of like game day.
Pretend it's a faux game day. Penn State coming in. Man, it's a big game. Indiana, but looking ready for them after their last outing against Minnesota. So this could be an absolute great Big Ten battle.
Yeah, I mean, it is set up, I don't want to say perfectly for Indiana, but definitely headed in their favor, and things are going in the right direction for Indiana. So that's always a good thing. And I think Indiana's in a better spot this time playing Penn State than the previous time they played. So you've got Penn State coming off of a loss. I don't know if that's a great thing or not, but that's the facts and the way it is. So, Indiana just has to capitalize. I mean, we can just sit here and say it all day long, but they just got to ride the momentum that they created on their own on a road victory and come back home and play really well in front of the home crowd.
Absolutely looking forward to it. And don't forget, of course, the game is on Sunday. That's a noon game, right?
Yeah.
On Fox Sports. I don't know who's on the call. I've been trying to find out who's doing the game. But, of course, that means after the game is coming to you live from Yogi's immediately after the ball game ends. So that should be approximately 2 o'clock. They're coming to you live from Yogi's, brought to you by Best Beer Incorporated and Henry Nethery Remax. Come on in, join us. Looking forward to it, man. You all have been awesome on the show, though. We're looking forward to doing that. But Indiana and Penn State, I'm looking forward to this game. Penn State, this is not your grandpa's Penn State for sure. They have played well this season. They are one of the top teams in the conference, Todd. And they're looking to solidify their seed line, while Indiana looking to get off of this 11-12 area. And they can do that with some wins. This is a big win. I mean, this is another quad one win if they can get this.
Yeah, I mean, I saw the couple of projections last night that had Penn State as high as a 3 seed. If they're going to continue and stay on that line, they're going to need to finish the year out strong and have a solid Big Ten tournament appearance. So they've got a lot to play for. And obviously we follow Indiana much closer, and we know what Indiana has to play for. And, they can improve their seeding as well, but they really can't stumble is the big key. I mean, they could even lose this game as long as they played well and competitive. But, that's a conversation I think we're all tired of having. This is a game that they should win. They're playing back at home, and it's time to, start, a long winning streak on the home court and get to one of those winning streaks that they start talking about nationally where you haven't lost for 2 or 3 years in a row at home.
Yeah, last night, Tyra Buss on the call on Big Ten Network, man. I saw Tyra on there, and she looked great, did a great job. You guys listening, you should send her a message on social media if you follow her and let her know she did a great job, because I know she's been nervous about that stuff. But she was awesome, did a tremendous job. She's been a great friend to us here on the show. But wish her lots of luck continuing that. But I thought she was awesome.
Did she do the sideline reporting, or did she call the color?
I think she was calling the game. I saw she was doing the pregame, so I saw her do the pregame opening, and she killed it. So I'd say she was the analyst last night.
Awesome. Well, that's great.
But, yeah, congratulations to her. Continue it up. Keep it up, girls. She's killing it. But she did a great job. Congratulations, Tyra. Last night, also in the Big Ten, Nebraska hosted Michigan State. We talked about that. Fred Hoiberg and his son plays for Michigan State. Tom Izzo's son also on that same squad. But Fred Hoiberg found out right before the game starting who the starters are. And he looks down, and it ends up being his son. Tom Izzo started Fred Hoiberg's son last night, and you pointed out that he's not even a senior. So I'm like, wow, that makes it even all the cooler. And it was, because Michigan State has lost 4 out of their last 5 games, Todd. Not a lot of coaches would do that.
Yeah, I mean, that's just one of the that's how quirky Tom Izzo is. And one other thing, it's also how confident he is in, his team. And I think they felt pretty good about going on the road to Nebraska last night. Although Nebraska played pretty well all the way through the first half of that game. And but yeah, I mean, it's just a cool thing. I mean, Coach Izzo is known across the coaching community as being one of the good guys and better people involved. So yeah, I know Fred would be excited about Jack starting in that game.
Oh, he certainly was. And then there was a point where Tom Izzo's son and Hoiberg's son were on the floor at the same time. I'm sure that was not exactly a powerful lineup because they're both kind of short. But, yeah, it was just kind of cool. It's cool to see that, man. It's cool to see that kind of stuff.
Yep, it is. I agree.
And you remember, how much crap did Coach Knight get for giving Pat Knight a scholarship? Let's be honest. I mean, not realistic to imagine he would have been in an Indiana uniform had Bob Knight not been the coach here, obviously. But no, I don't mean anything against to Pat, but
sure.
You know what I'm saying. Because we see this all the time. Calipari did it. Izzo's got his son on the team, but Hoiberg's on Izzo's squad. Dockets, we see all these kids all the time, and that's got to be kind of difficult.
Yeah, I mean it's a unique situation for some of these kids, but in most of those cases, you're all talking. I mean, they were all walk-ons. I mean, Pat wasn't a walk-on at IU, and so I mean it was a little different scenario. But you've got guys like Buddy Boeheim playing for his dad, and I mean there's some good players out there. And Pat was a guy that it was kind of weird because when you're Bob Knight's son, I mean. Other people just don't really recruit. I mean, how do they come and recruit you? Think about that. I mean, how would a place come and recruit Pat Knight when they've got to call Bob Knight to recruit him? And it's just I don't know. It was a really weird, unique scenario. But we always played together in AAU for a couple of seasons prior to our senior years. And I mean, it was just we just all knew. Pat said the whole time he wasn't going to go to IU, and we all just kind of knew that he was. We would have killed him if he didn't. I mean, we were all best buddies, so it would have sucked if he didn't go there.
Well, he did, and history was written, I assure you.
Yep.
May not have been written on the court, but it was written in many places.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Bloomington will never be the same.
Absolutely. Man, a big weekend coming up. What are some of there's a lot of always big games on the weekend. Oh, last night, don't forget, I sent you a message so you wouldn't miss it, but not only Oregon played Arizona State last night. Not only was it a really good game, but on the call was Dave Pasch. But of course, that means with Bill Walton. But he also had Frank Caliendo with him. So you had Frank Caliendo doing Bill Walton and Bill Walton. So you had double Bill Walton. You would have been in heaven.
No, I do not mind Frank Caliendo doing Bill Walton. That actually is not annoying. The only annoying person doing Bill Walton is Bill Walton, and the only reason you would ever act like it's not the most ridiculous thing on sports television is because it pisses me off.
I think it's just entertaining.
It is not entertaining. There's nothing entertaining about it.
Absolutely entertaining. Love it. I think it's hilarious. Tim hits the text line already. Does Brunk start on Sunday? I think the team floor on Minnesota that played on. Oh, I think the team on the floor at Minnesota that played the best was Justin Smith, Jackson Davis, Reese Thompson, Finney, Durham Green, blah, blah. Baylor, Kansas on Saturday. Yeah, there's a big game. Yeah. A lot of people – I've seen a lot of this, and who cares who starts, people? Who cares?
Everybody does. Everybody does.
I mean, I get it. And if I'm a player, you kind of want to start just because, you just want to be in there all the time. But it's how many minutes? It's who cares? I don't care. I don't care when he's in there as long as he's in there for the chunk of minutes he needs to be in there for.
Here's the thing about it that I look at it, and I want Joey Brunk to be a positive contributor on this team, and I think that he can do that. I will tell you, it's embarrassing as can be to start the game and come out with 18 minutes and 50 seconds on the clock, which is about what he did in Minnesota.
Yeah, I don't understand.
He came down and got beat twice defensively, and they took him out of the game. I mean, I would rather not start and come in off the bench if I'm going to get pulled the first, mistake or two that I make. And I'll be honest, like I'm going to say this because you and I called this ahead of time, and I know, I guess I won't throw you under the bus. I said it. There is no way Joey Brunk should have started in that game guarding Daniel Oturu. That he could not guard him. There's nothing he could possibly do to defend Daniel Oturu.
I agree with you. And that's the one question to me that keeps coming up. Why not make the adjustments beforehand?
Yeah, I don't know
instead
why.
of having to always be reactive. Why never proactive?
But I will say this. It isn't like Race Thompson came in off the bench for him. Deron Davis did.
Yeah.
So
Deron's been playing well here of late, and he continues that.
No, he has not. Deron played well
offensively. He has. Yeah, offensively.
Okay, well then don't say he played well. He played well offensively. Defensively, he is the biggest liability on our team. I mean, there's just no two ways about it. He cannot play.
He's very slow.
He cannot play at this level and guard the people in the Big Ten that he needs to guard. Enough. If IU's going to play a zone, and he's going to play the middle of a 2-3 zone defense, that's a possibility. I won't say he doesn't. He just has to guard an area in that case. But to guard somebody man to man, there isn't a chance to have him try to step out and defend a ball screen and then get all the way back and get underneath the basket. It's impossible. It's a layup after layup, and you watch that in the Michigan game, and it's
we see exactly. We see that, and it's not just him on that though.
No, it's him, both he and Brunk.
Yeah, right, exactly, and that's why Race Thompson is. I mean, you can see he's the heir apparent. He's getting to this point to where he is going to be. Now the reason, but we talk about this starting thing. Another reason why I think it doesn't ring as deep with, because Archie, it doesn't seem to matter. I still don't understand his substitution pattern. It seems like it's always preordained instead of reading the situation. But so the Race Thompson, he's a guy that should be playing more minutes if he's going to continue to improve. But also you have a matchup situation. Yeah,
I mean, in this especially, when you're talking about players in the Big Ten, there's a few players that I think, Joey Brunk and Deron Davis could probably defend, but there's fewer of those than there are, teams that we play. Most of the matchups those guys are going to have, you're going to be looking at one this weekend. Unless Mike Watkins is in the game this weekend, and sometimes he starts, sometimes he doesn't for Penn State. Those guys can probably guard him, but I wouldn't. That's the difference. That's the reaction or action or reaction. In that you either start your lineup and have the other team try to defend it, or you base your lineup off of what you think you need to do to guard them. And, I think Indiana's best when they're pushing the ball up and down the floor. And, they're best pushing it up and down the floor when they don't have Deron Davis and Joey Brunk in the lineup. That's my opinion. So it just so happens that defensively, I think they're a better team defensively without those two guys on the floor as well.
Jennifer from Evansville says, please get Walton as a guest.
Oh, my gosh.
After the show, I would love to see the looks Todd would get on his face. Tim hits the text line. Archie made a comment about this team looking very different next year. He also said we have 2 scholarships available. Did he slip and give us thinking that a transfer out is coming? All right. This may sound bad. I don't really listen to a lot of what Archie says after listening all season and all the things. I think a lot of that is just coach speak. So I'm just going to go by what happens on the floor. And as long as they continue to improve, that's another reason why, to me, this game is huge. And we'll talk about that more later on in the show. We got Dean Garrett coming next. So let's take a break so we can get to him. We'll be back with more Indiana Sports Beat with Coy O'Leary coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this.
Don't know what I'm gonna do, but must be somebody.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Ryan Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville.
Bad theater seats, cheap Halloween masks, my apartment, all things with obstructed views. Add to these large trucks and buses. 18-wheelers and large buses have big blind spots, and like my apartment, they don't always have the best view. Bus and truck drivers deal with blind spots around the entire vehicle. Always take care not to ride alongside or too close behind them. Our roads, our safety. Learn more at sharetheroadsafely.gov.
Hey, it's Michael Lewis, former Indiana University player and current UCLA assistant basketball coach, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios here on this Friday, and we're going to blow it out. We've got one of the greats. Dean Garrett's joining us. Dean, how are you, sir?
I'm good, guys. How you guys doing this morning?
Great. Todd O'Leary with us here as well.
What's up, buddy? How are you?
Todd, how you doing, man? I'm good, buddy. How about yourself?
I'm doing terrific. Thanks for asking.
Dean Garrett was back here just a short while ago when a lot of the players came back to join Coach Knight at Assembly Hall, and Dean was one of those. It had been a long time since you had been back to IU, hadn't it, Dean?
It has, man. The last time I was back was 2011. Actually, it was like the game. It was the game before the great shot against Kentucky. Actually, it was that week. The game before that, and we were like, why didn't you all bring us back for this game? You guys bring us back for Stetson. We should have came back for Kentucky.
You know why, Dean. They're not giving up those high price tickets for us.
Exactly.
You know that.
And that game was so unimportant. Even Dean Garrett, who was there, says the game before that. Doesn't even know what game. It's just the game before the one shot.
Exactly.
Man, it was awesome seeing you there. I was fortunate enough to get a picture with you out there at the statue recognizing the 87 National Championship team. But it was incredible seeing that group. But it had to be incredible for someone like you to be in that group with all those guys. I know for Todd, he's talked about it, how special it was. What a great day.
Man, it was a great epic event. That's how I kind of put it. It was epic. It was, a lot of people, if you're not from Indiana, if you didn't grow up, knowing about Coach, then, it wasn't that important to you. But it was for us. It was guys who were from Indiana. It was people who grew up with that Coach night in their house, in their household. And for people to come back and for people to watch that on TV and be able to see that, it was really just a great epic event.
Todd, you still there?
Yep, I'm here. I mean, it was so much fun. The highlight for me was, I grew up in Dean's team in 87 and 88. I mean, that was when I was 16, 17 years old. And that was the highlight of basketball for me. And watching the 87 championship, obviously, I know I talk to him like he's a friend when I see him, but still I idolize all these guys that won championship rings, and it'll always be a little bit of a void. And I don't care what anybody tells you, anybody that played for Coach Knight that didn't win a national championship always looks up to the guys who did. And that was the real exciting part for me, was to be able to go back and see, all those Whitman and Kitchell and all those guys, and then the guys from your team, Dean. And it's just fun to see the guys talk to each other that are from different eras and compare stories and talk about things. The part of Coach being there made it obviously incredible, and that was the reason why it was such an epic day. But I know we all wish that had been 10, 15, 20 years ago, and he would have taken the mic
Correct.
And gone out there and given some great speech, and we would have all, laughed, and he would have hit us on the back of the head with that ring, and it would have been like the old days. But it was great for what the purposes served.
Absolutely, and you hit it right on the head, man. It's just being able to get back and be around all the guys. It's not just, I know what you say about the, having a championship and everything, but just being back there and just seeing the guys from the 70s. And, even that night before we had that, I was out with a guy from Sports Illustrated, and we were talking, and he was telling me about the 70s team. The Joby Wright team, that
right.
First team that Coach Knight coached, and there were guys from that team there. And to me, that was great to be able to meet those guys and put a face to a name. It was
right.
It was a weekend that I definitely would never forget. And when I found out about it, it was a no-brainer for me. I jumped up and booked my wife and my ticket right away, and we were out. I knew for sure.
It wouldn't have been the same if you hadn't been there. So I'm super glad you were there.
I definitely appreciate that. I know we don't look at it in that same way, but we definitely appreciate it.
Oh, just having you guys are, like Todd says, you're royalty, man. He's smart. I mean, you guys are royalty, and they are. I mean, you're royalty for one of the blue bloods, which is incredible. But what's been going on with Dean Garrett? What are you doing now? Where are you living? What's happening with you?
Man, I live out here in Las Vegas. I've been out here. Really, I got out here in 2001. I was still playing in the league. I was still playing with Minnesota when I moved out here, and just been home. I don't ever think I'll ever leave Las Vegas. I was just speaking with somebody the other day about Vegas. I love it. I don't have a problem with the weather. I'm not really a cold weather person. So going back there 2 weeks ago, and I know the weather changed since the time we've left, and it got colder. But that was enough for me right there, just seeing that and just the little flurries and things like that. I do love the sun. I do love the hot weather. I always say you can always get away from the heat. I can always walk into a building and they got air conditioning.
It's
you can't get away from the cold.
It's a dry
cold
heat
follows.
too, right?
Yeah, it's a dry heat. You're out there with Pat Knight then, Dean. Because Pat Knight lives out there.
Absolutely, yeah. I've seen Pat a few times. Pat does live here. We were actually on the same plane coming back to Vegas after we both left from Bloomington. We were on the same plane. So I have seen Pat once or twice. We have had dinner being out here. So, yeah, we see each other.
Now, since you came back, does that give you any impetus to try to get back again to visit?
You know what? I definitely need to come back more. I was saying that when I was there. I need to come back more. I was glad, that I was able to bring my wife out there. She doesn't know that part of me. She doesn't know that part of my career. Sure, she knows I won a national championship when I was in college. But that was really her first time coming around and seeing all those things. She's definitely seen videos and TV and things like that, but she's never seen it firsthand. So that was great. And we do have a son. He's 11, and I don't really speak about any basketball to him at all. I don't speak about it. This is not really a basketball house. So I would love to bring him out there just so he could have a chance to see that and get a little bit of Indiana experience.
Oh, that would be incredible. Everybody, we have tons of former players that come on, and like Kirk Haston, he's probably one of the best. But what's your best Bob Knight story that you could tell?
Man, my best Bob Knight story. I get asked that question a lot from people when they see you. Man, there's just so many. There's good ones that you can speak about. And
it's a large library
that you never ever speak about. I'm trying to think of a good one that would make good talk radio on here.
Yeah, Dean. People do this.
I really can't think of a great Coach Knight story that would be like, oh my goodness, I can't believe Dean told us that. I really can't think of one.
If you had Dean,
Coach,
I would tell you not to tell it anyway, because you need to save.
Well,
those stories.
We all know that code of honor that we've all had. Once you've been in that locker room, there's just some things you just don't come out of there and you repeat.
Oh, yeah, I wouldn't talk about those.
It just happened.
Yeah, I wouldn't talk about those. Those are special. Those stay in a special place.
Those are special. You have to go through the you have to go through the Indiana process. Basketball. You have to go through it just to understand it. I mean, people see it on TV and they see the yelling. You can watch it on YouTube now. And it's not like that all the time. People think it's just like that 24/7 all the time, And I tell you what, when I was there, I was talking and Matt Nover and I were speaking. And, Matt made a point. He was like, man, I just didn't understand it. But he's like, now I get it. It's really just he's preparing you for something that's bigger than basketball. He's preparing you for life. And Matt made the point saying there's things that go on to his everyday business now that just don't faze him because he's already gone through this. He's already gone through the Coach Knight for 4 years, and other things just don't faze him anymore. He can handle it because he's gone through it with Coach. And that's Coach in a nutshell. If you can get through that and understand what he's saying, don't really listen to how he's saying it, but if you can get through the part of what he's trying to tell you, then you're getting ahead of the game. Coach is preparing you for something else, and it's called life. And we don't really understand that until you leave.
Yeah. I have to say, from someone who was not involved in it, but I sit next to Todd every day, and I listen to him talk so many ways, and so many things always come back to lessons that he learned, and he says it. He's the first person to say it, and it's always about preparing. I mean, I'm learning from Todd.
Say, I don't very often tell Coach Knight stories. I just tell things of what he taught us, and not really how he taught us. But I mean, the thing about preparation and all of that, I mean, that's a factor of that's not a basketball game thing. That's an everyday life thing, and that's probably the thing I took away from there the most is how prepared Coach always was for everything. And I learned that the most from him. Now, doesn't mean I always made the right decisions, obviously, but I sure wasn't not prepared going into it, and I don't have that excuse anyway.
No, 100%, man. I mean, I bet you, Todd, you're never late. You're never late to anything that you ever do in life now. I know I'm not. I know when you told me you were going to be calling me at 6:20 my time, I mean, I've been up since 6 o'clock and waiting, to be prepared and getting ready for this phone call. And that just goes back to Indiana. That goes back to that, man. You're always on time. You're prepared. You get ready for the situation, no matter what it is. And I find myself doing that this morning, getting up at 5:45, 5:50, and, getting ready just to do this interview. That's Indiana basketball, man. You're always ready and you're always prepared.
Well, man, that's incredible that you do that for us. We cannot thank you enough for that. We're grateful because it's an honor for us to have you on. What do you have the opportunity to follow Indiana? Do you follow college basketball much at all? Do you follow the Hoosiers? Keep up with them?
You know what? I mean, I live on the West Coast, and just one of the main reasons why I wanted to come to Indiana is because I get to see them. I mean, I get to watch just about almost every game. You got the Big Ten Network, and the last few games have either been on ESPN or CBS, and so that's our game out here that we get. So absolutely, I do try as much as possible to follow these guys. And because I did go to Indiana, I follow Steve also. So I keep up on Reno, University of Nevada. I just saw Steve last week when I came back from Indiana. Steve played UNLV that following Wednesday. So I went out there and saw him, and him and I sat there and we talked for a while, myself, Steve, and his dad, Sam. And we all sat there and talked. And obviously we talked about the weekend that I just came back from. And I knew when I was there how bad I knew Steve wanted to be there. And so I just showed him the pictures that I had and all those kind of things. And we talked about Indiana, of course. But, I did get a chance to watch them the other day. I did see they beat Minnesota. I did know that was their second road game that they won. For some reason, you guys just don't play very well on the road. So I do keep up with them on that part.
Yeah, that's incredible. And yeah, I'm sure Steve Alford had probably killed him not being able to be there, the relationship there. But
it did. It did. Well, he wants his jacket. That's the first thing you said. I need my jacket. The one we all came out on. I need my jacket.
Oh, those jackets are pretty sweet. I've seen there's so many people on social media that have been asking, where can we buy those jackets? Where can they buy those jackets? They're not for sale, folks. They were not for sale. That was a pretty sweet looking jacket. Hey, when you play on a national championship team and you're playing for Indiana and Bob Knight, what is that like? Because that's a pretty incredible thing to accomplish for anybody. But when you do it at a school like in Indiana under someone like a Bob Knight, I mean, man, that's the big time. You guys were the big time, and that had to be pretty special for you all.
I tell you, when it was all going on, when, in 87, we were the last ones to get to New Orleans. Everybody, I remember watching ESPN in our dorm rooms. Everybody was already out there. We were the last ones to get there. And Coach kept everything just the same. I mean, we did have the press conferences, and we did have to get out there maybe a day, 2 days before, but everybody else was already there for like 3 or 4 days in New Orleans. So we got there, we did our practice at the Superdome, and we did our interviews. That was pretty much the only thing that was different that we did. Everything else kind of stayed the same. In the matter of the fact, we stayed in our hotel. I remember us being in the hotel. Our parents could come over there. We saw them for, a couple of hours. But then after that, it was right back to business. We didn't do much practicing. What everybody would think, I know you guys practice hard. No, we didn't. We didn't do a lot of more practicing at all. We were already mentally and physically already in that game. We were ready. And the games were all the same. You know, you play. We were fortunate enough to win. And I can remember, because Keith made a point of this, I can remember after the game, Coach telling us, you know, you guys have no idea what you guys have done. You know, and it was not going to kick in until later on. And like you said, Todd, when we showed up and we were there, and you had a chance to walk back into Assembly Hall, and you get a chance to see that banner hanging there, and seeing all the other guys, it kind of kicks in that, you know, you guys really did do something special. You know, you always kind of go in history, you know, right. And your name kind of goes with Coach Knight's name, because you were the last team to win a championship for him. So that part of it is kind of special.
Yeah, kind of special, I guess. I mean, you know, I was just a fan then, and you know, it was so cool. And I can remember, you know, people who were in school at the time, I'm sure were a part of it. I can't imagine after winning a national championship what it would have been like. But I know when we made the Final Four, and we played down in Albuquerque and won, and we're headed to the Final Four. When we got back to Assembly Hall, I've never seen anything like what it was like back at Assembly Hall. I mean, to say it was 30,000 kids was probably be ridiculous. It was probably 70,000 people outside the stadium and all the way inside. I can't imagine what it would have been like after winning a national championship. It just had to be incredible. I've heard a lot of people tell stories about what they did on campus.
I remember coming back home, and we were trying to land back in Monroe County Airport, and we couldn't, because there were a lot of people like running around on the runway. So
Are you kidding me?
Circle around. They had to get everybody off.
My God.
I do remember that. And when we finally did land, when we got, you know, because we get off the plane, we get right onto our bus. And so we were going through Bloomington, and I do remember going past like elementary schools, and the kids were all outside, and they were pretty much giving us our parade, because we didn't have a parade or anything like that.
Right.
But the kids were outside, and they were, you know, banging on the fence when we were going past, and people would, you know, get out of their cars, and they were waving at the bus going through. So that was kind of like our parade for ourselves, because it took us straight to Assembly Hall. And when we got to Assembly Hall, it was jam-packed inside there.
Right.
But like I said, man, we were 19, 20. We were just like ready just to get away. You know, the first thing I was thinking about is, because we always used to joke that I'm about to grow a mustache, because we couldn't have one. So I was like, I'm about to grow a big, thick mustache as soon as I possibly can. I'm starting to let it grow right now. That was our biggest thing. Myself,
that was your rebellion.
Keith, we wanted to grow hair on our face because we couldn't have it before, and that was our time.
Let's see. Who's that 6'10" guy? I don't know. He has a mustache. That's not Dean Garrett.
No, it was.
That's all we wanted to do.
It wasn't trying to hide.
We wanted to get back on campus to walk around. We weren't thinking about. Well, I mean, even in '87, there was really not that. There was no talk shows. There was no ESPN like it is now with all these different shows. So the media contingent really wasn't there. We did our thing. We were back home, and it was like, man, okay, I don't have to go to Assembly Hall today. I can hang out. We can go do this. We can do that. And that's kind of how we looked at it. We didn't really look at it in the fact of, man, we just won a championship. But like Coach said, you have no idea what you guys even done. And it didn't kick in until, I felt it kick in a little bit when I was there, that at that time. When you saw me outside and I saw that statue, I've heard of the statue, but I've never seen the plaque that was outside. It kind of kicked in there. I was like, wow, look at this, and I sent the picture to my daughter and I sent the picture to my friend. I was like, yeah, that's my face, on the end of that statue right there. That's when it kind of kicked in. That was my highlight. My wife was like, that's you. I was like, I know. Look at it. So that was
awesome.
That was the fun part.
That is incredible, Dean. Man, that is just awesome to hear. It's awesome to hear the joy that it still brings to you. And, man, having you back has been incredible for a lot of the fans. They loved it. I loved it. And having you on here today has been an absolute honor. Cannot wait. Hopefully you can do it again. I know it's early for you, but we'd love to have you back on. You've been an absolutely incredible guest.
Hey, my pleasure, guys. I really appreciate it. It's always good to talk Indiana basketball, man. I appreciate you guys even taking the time to give me a call. I appreciate it.
Our pleasure. See you, buddy.
Thank you, sir. Dean Garrett, national champion Indiana hoopster. We appreciate him so much for coming on. We've got a lot more. Angelo PIzzo from Hoosiers joins us next. We've got a loaded show. Back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, Indiana Sports Beat. Coyle Leary right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville.
Bad theater seats, cheap Halloween masks, my apartment, all things with obstructed views. Add to these large trucks and buses. 18-wheelers and large buses have big blind spots, and like my apartment, they don't always have the best view. Bus and truck drivers deal with blind spots around the entire vehicle. Always take care not to ride alongside or too close behind them. Our roads, our safety. Learn more at sharetheroadsafely.gov.
Hi, this is AJ Moye, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
Today's guest is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, with hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer. Pizza, burgers, beer. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville.
You can ponder perpetual motion.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Coyle here with you here on this Friday. Finished up with Dean Garrett, former national champion, and man, it's only getting better. Hoosiers, the original Hoosier, Angelo PIzzo joins us now. Angelo, how are you, man?
Good. How are you, Jim?
Cannot complain, brother. Last time I talked to you, you were up in New York working on another movie. What's new with Angelo right now?
Well, I'm just finishing that screenplay and, about to turn it in, and we'll start to work on that and get it into good shape and, raise the money and make the movie.
I don't think people realize how long the process for the start to finish for a movie, it's a long time and a long process.
It is. We first started talking about this project a year and a half ago. The deal was finally made about a year ago. Research probably took about 4 or 5 months. And then, it takes me anywhere from 4 to 6 months to write the screenplay. And at that point, then there are going to be rewrites, and the money takes a while for the money to get raised. And then, of course, the actual production, you have probably 2 months of pre-production, 2 months of production, 2 months of post-production. And then you have to go out, test screen it, and put together a marketing campaign. We're talking about 2 or 3 years for an average feature film.
Yeah, wow, that's just a lot, and it's just a lot of time to put effort to put into that when you're doing that. How much of yourself do you have to absorb into what you're doing at that moment? I mean, are you completely absorbed into it once you start a project?
It depends on what stage you're at. When you're in pre-production, production, or post-production, it's 100%. And when I'm writing a first draft, it's 100%. But all the other times, I can be working on multiple projects. In fact, I have 2 other rewrites that I'll start when I finish my first draft here of scripts that I've already written. And I'm also supervising 2 other screenplays. That is, they were stories that were so similar to the movies I've done, I couldn't write them. I just have no interest in repeating myself. But these were 2 stories that were so interesting and compelling, and I think ultimately marketable, that I took them on and found a writer and am supervising the writing of the screenplay and will ultimately produce the film. So one is actually a Chinese version of Rudy. So it's not Notre Dame. It's not the real guy named Rudy, but it's a kid who grew up in China dreaming of playing basketball. The problem was he was a terrible player. And he came to basketball, discovered it when he was 14. And so the Chinese system is such that if you're going to be an athlete, you get it, you're discovered early, and you're slotted into an athletes only institution. So they don't have high school teams. They don't have any organized sports in that way. So it was his dream to play on a team and that journey. And so it's been exciting to work on something where I don't actually have to write it.
Yeah, you definitely had me at Chinese Rudy. As soon as I heard that, I'm like, and funny, bring up Rudy. You know, Hoosiers was a huge smash, and so was Rudy. But Rudy was so different because you didn't want to do Rudy, if I recall correctly.
No, I mean, my first inclination was when the real Rudy contacted David and myself. We just finished Hoosiers, and I didn't really want to do another sports film in Indiana, set in Indiana. I didn't want to be put in a niche, which of course I did, and I was. But I also grew up in Bloomington and hated Notre Dame, and especially Notre Dame football. So it was really hard for me to overcome that resistance. It took about another year and a half, and I didn't even sell it. David sold it and kind of painted me into a corner to write it. But, of course, I'm glad he did.
And, of course, Rudy's made a living off of being Rudy ever since, so he certainly loved it.
He sure has.
Well, hey, and right along those lines, hey, this is Todd, Angelo.
Hey, Todd, how are you?
I'm doing great. Hey, I'll tell you something that we talked about at the Coach Knight event a couple of weekends ago, and it's so funny how we're this way. There was a couple of guys at IU games that are from the movie Hoosiers, Steve Holler and Maris Valanis. Yes. Right. They've been back at games, and we treat them as former players. We treat those guys the way that fans treat us, and we recognize those guys. Like I'm going up to Steve, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I loved you in the movie," and I'm quoting
That's
things
funny.
he said.
That's funny.
Oh, we talked about it a bunch when we were back there with Coach Knight, and the laughable part is to walk through Assembly Hall. I swear every bit of it. Those guys are more recognizable than most. Me especially because I'm not 6'10". But
both of those guys haven't changed much.
No, they really haven't. It was incredible.
The guy Gary Logg's son, Brad, as you know, Logg, who played Buddy, he has no hair. So he says hardly anybody recognizes him.
He looks nothing like what he looked like in the film.
Exactly.
But both of those other two guys look real similar, just a little aged version. But I see Maris all
the
time.
There's another guy.
Those guys say they get recognized all the time in airports and other places.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
I got another friend of mine that I don't know if his name's Dennis Farkas. His role was he was the guy who you call a gorilla. That was his big line. But, yeah, he does tell stories. I mean, the ability to use local guys like that had to be special for you.
Well, we wanted to use as many people from Indiana as possible. Our attitude was that the location was as important a character as any of our main characters. So we wanted to be as authentic as possible. I think we cast something close to 95% of all the parts from people from Indiana. And I think the details help make it look like sort of a seamless tapestry where all the details are right. And that was important to us, for David and I, since we grew up here. And we know what people sound like, they look like, how they walk and talk and chew gum. And it was important that we get that right.
Larry, you were just a couple years too young, man.
Yeah, no, I know it. Trust me.
You could have been Bobby Plump.
It would be close. If you right now you said in my 50-year-old version of me, I had the choice of playing for Bob Knight or being Jimmy Chitwood, it would be a toss-up. I'm really not sure which one I would choose at this point.
Oh man, that's incredible. And like you heard him mention, he lives here in Bloomington. If you've listened to the show, he's been on before. You know he's a huge fan. Big season coming for Indiana. Angelo, their season is kind of turning around. Got a big game coming up on Sunday with Penn State. They just coming off of a big win on the road. Things hopefully turning around for that basketball team.
Huge. I mean, the team is a conundrum. It's hard to figure them out. And I won't pretend like every other fan to have an expert answer on why or how, when things go south, what's happening, what's going on, because they're a real head scratcher. They can look great as they did against Minnesota and against Michigan. It was like, who is that team? What happened? Yeah, I think different teams, that Todd can tell you this, have different personalities, and I think this personality is a schizophrenic. That's the only way I can describe it.
I've called him tripolar all year long.
Tripolar, schizophrenic.
However, I'm always, and I think I mentioned this to you, when it comes to Indiana sports, football and basketball, I'm a glass half full guy. So I tend to think and see the upside. And the upside for me is that this team next year will be a lot better. And I think that what causes the schizophrenia, and you know where I sit, and I can pick up energy and body language and connectedness. I think there's a lot of times this team plays without a kind of connectedness. And I don't think that anybody's a bad guy. I don't think it's a question of people not liking each other, but I think they came from two different systems. I think there's something to be said for the Crean players and the Archie players, and it's not a total fit, a mesh that's really working at all times.
Todd calls it positive touches.
If you think about it in that term, if you look at the Archie players, it's a really young team. I mean, the key players are Finney, who really hasn't played much. He's been injured so much the last 2 years. Of course, Trace, and then you have Race Thompson and Hunter, and they're all freshmen, and they're all important now, especially now that Race has moved in and taken a lot of Joey's spot minutes. And so I think it will be the more Archie has his guys in there, I think the more unified the team will be in terms of their personality and their connectedness. And I mean, that's my hope, of course.
Absolutely. Well, we'll certainly find out on Sunday as the Penn State Nittany Lions come to Simon Scott Assembly Hall for that noon game. And, of course, after the game, we're at Yogi's. If you get to stop by Yogi's sometime for the after-the-game, post-game show with Todd, we'll buy you lunch or whatever. But, Angelo, I cannot thank you enough for joining us as always, man. You're the best.
I appreciate it. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks,
you bet. Angelo PIzzo joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat on this Friday. We got lots more coming up from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, and I guess we got another. Are we good, Jake? We need to get out, or how are we? All right, well, we'll be back with plenty more. You're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle Leary from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Back with more right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dawkins.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville.
Bad theater seats, cheap Halloween masks, my apartment, all things with obstructed views. Add to these large trucks and buses. 18-wheelers and large buses have big blind spots, and like my apartment, they don't always have the best view. Bus and truck drivers deal with blind spots around the entire vehicle. Always take care not to ride alongside or too close behind them. Our roads, our safety. Learn more at sharetheroadsafely.gov.
You're on the line with Jamal Meeks, former Indiana Hoosier, number 23, 1992. And I'm on the beat with Jim Coyle.
Welcome back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle Leary here on this Friday. TGIF, man, it has been a bombastic show already. Dean Garrett, Angelo PIzzo's been on with us, and we've heard Chinese Rudy, Conundrum, Tripolar, and Schizophrenic.
It's been a big day.
It's been a huge day already.
That's a big day. You add some Fireball and Rumplemints to that, and you got a heck of a story.
We got a party here on Friday, man.
Party.
You know what? Maybe we should start doing that. The Friday show,
Rumplemints and Fireball.
Yeah, out someplace. Yeah, just hey, just do a live action. I don't know.
Where in the hell are we going to do that?
I don't know. We'd have to find
some
place fun. Maybe get Yogi's to open up special. I don't know.
And speaking of which, they open at 10:00 this Sunday.
That's right. Get there for some brunch. Maybe some Yogi's brunch. Yeehaw. Because, the game's at noon on Fox. That means after the game with Todd Leary live from Yogi's, this is going to be approximately 2 p.m. So make sure you're there. Be square. Big game for the Indiana Hoosiers as they take on the Penn State Nittany Lions Sunday at the Simon Scott Assembly Hall. Indiana has shown their worth a couple of times this season, but then they haven't seemed to back it up a lot after that. But they did something they haven't done all year long, and that was win a big game on the road. I don't count Nebraska. They won a bigger game on the road. And Minnesota's it's not like it was Ohio State or somebody, but it was still that's a team that's a tournament type team that's fight for the tournament. So and it's a road win, but can they carry that forward to this weekend? That's the thing.
I mean, when you look at where Minnesota stands in the Big Ten rankings or standings, obviously, the win doesn't look that impressive. But when you factor in, I mean, you said it's not like winning at Ohio State. Minnesota beat Ohio State both in the barn in Minnesota and in Columbus. So there's some validity to that win. And that's a team that has, I know you weren't saying it wasn't. I just the more I sat there and looked at it, I'm like, on paper. So now they've beat the 13th worst team and the 12th worst team. I mean, they've beat them on the road. It's not that big a deal, but the Big Ten's just different this year. And everybody has struggled. Not very many teams have gone into Nebraska and blown them out there. And
you know how many teams Joe Nardi has in right now?
12, 11,
10.
Is it?
But still, that's gigantic. I mean, and Indiana is one of those. They are in the first four or last four in, I believe.
Yeah, I saw it last night. He had bumped them to the last four in.
But again, that gets taken care of Sunday. If they take care of business, then they just keep moving up. They have a chance, and then you finish with 2 home games. So realistically, Indiana should beat Penn State. I'll be honest with you. They should beat them. They've got them at home. Now, am I going to be shocked if they lose? No. Penn State's good enough that I'm not going to be shocked. But Indiana should win that game, and they damn sure should win their final 2 home games. I'll give them the break on the road, let them lose those. They should be fine, and I think they'll end up as around a 10 seed, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, well, it'll depend on the Big Ten tournament because
True that.
I am a firm. I'm going to go with Angelo PIzzo here and be a cup half full, and I've been cup 3/4 full all year long and thinking that this team has a chance of still being like a 7 seed, making a little bit of a run. And I just always think they're going to play good. And that to me is that's why it's so surprising. And that's why I'm so hard on them when they don't play well and they lose, because the losing I can deal with if I feel like they played well and they accomplished some things. The Maryland loss, you heard me after the game. I still felt pretty positive after that loss. The Purdue loss at home, no, terrible. It was awful. Michigan on the road, awful, terrible. Nothing positive came out of those. And so I'm still pretty positive. I have a positive feeling about them because I really think that they can still turn things around and get things going. I mean, I know in social media, we've seen a lot of people making a big deal about the interchange between Trace Jackson Davis and Justin Smith in the game the other night. And I mean, that part of that is an issue, and part of that is people making a big deal out of it. And I think you can read some stuff into it, and I read some stuff into it. But overall, I like the direction they're going. I really hope Archie Miller uses this opportunity to blow the lineup wide open. And I wouldn't be afraid to change more than one person in the starting lineup this Sunday.
Yeah, he hasn't shown a penchant. And
I know.
Said this,
I
and
know.
you've said it all year long. For whatever reason, he just hasn't shown a penchant for disrupting that, and it makes no sense. Because in any other circumstance, I understand where you want some cohesion. This ain't one of them. You're trying to actually break up this bad cohesion. So I kind of don't understand that this.
And they've not. Yeah, there's nothing we're really trying to save here. I mean, it's not like they had this. There was a group of guys playing, and they were playing so well together. You really didn't want to screw the juju up. Like, it hasn't been that. Like, they have. There's not been. I know they've tried to throw some different lineups out on the floor to see who plays well together. But I think this is a really good opportunity, and I won't say it's passed us by until they don't take advantage of it. But I really think Archie's got a good opportunity here to shake the lineup up a little bit and just create a little different style team. I think we talked. You and I were excited in Evansville this fall when Archie came and talked about, the fast pace this team was going to play with. And, I think we all wanted kind of that Tom Crean speed going up and down the floor, just a little bit more under control, a little less Troy Williams. And
then add defense to that. And wow,
add defense to it.
What a hell of a combination that is.
Right. Yeah. And we have seen anything but a fast-paced team. I mean, I don't. I know it sounds like I'm picking on, I'm not even going to say their names anymore. I'm just going to say, when you've got certain guys on the floor that slow you down, it doesn't really appear to me that you're trying to play at a fast pace. And that's what I hope they come out and do this weekend.
Bobby S. says Penn State coming off a loss, you will get their best on Sunday. It would have been better for IU to have played them Saturday. This is a mismatch of coaching staffs. Let's see about that. But
what's that mean?
I guess he likes Penn State's coaching staffs. I don't know. Oh, that reminds me, you got Curtis Jones coming into Assembly Hall.
Right.
Oh wow, forgot all about that.
I hope he shoots the same percentage. I hope he shoots the same percentage this Sunday that he did when he played here.
Yeah. Wow. That's kind of a little game information there. Curtis Jones returned to the Hall.
Yeah, he played well. He went through a stretch this season where
how many guys have come back like that have transferred to other teams and played in Assembly Hall as an opponent? Man, that cannot be a very long list of guys.
Luke Recker,
Iowa. But I mean, I'm sure
to think.
I'm not. Wow. Yeah, that's a short list. Wow. Very interesting.
Yeah. I'm dead silent because I'm trying to think of who.
Oh,
else
I know.
It's
Joker says Race needs more playing time. He has shown in every game during his IU career that he goes all out.
No, he went to UAB. They didn't.
He has a high energy motor. Tim asks about a 3-guard lineup. Archie has not run a 3-guard lineup all season long for whatever reason.
Do we not include Justin Smith as a guard? I mean, you can argue. I don't know either. I don't know how you look at it.
I mean, I don't consider him a guard, but yeah. Who knows?
Who would you play as a 3-guard lineup?
Well, particular text.
Finney.
Let's see. Green, Finney, Durham.
Yeah.
I mean, it would work. It would work.
For some reason, I'm forgetting about Al Durham all the time.
There's been times where that lineup probably should have been the lineup on the floor against a particular matchup.
This game might be one of those games. You put those three out there with Justin Smith and Trace Jackson Davis. I'd like to see how fast that team can play.
Look, you got a lot of people, fans that, I'll be honest with you, really don't know what they're talking about, that are calling for Archie to be fired. Now, I have a lot of questions about a lot of things Archie's done, don't get me wrong, but he ain't going anywhere. So, first of all, that's just ridiculous thought and thinking. He's here minimum through next season. So I think people should focus on what's going on. But actually, there is some progress, it seems. I know there's a lot of things that bring up a lot of questions. We're talking about it right now, these rotations, these starting lineups, the not making adjustments at times. There's been a lot of things to recruiting. People think recruiting is great. It's not great. It's okay. It is okay. And so there are a lot of questions. But if he continues to progress, maybe he's learning a little bit. Maybe there's a little more learning on the job here than what people thought. I don't know. I'm not saying that's the case.
I'll just say this. I'm not going to agree with what you said, but I don't feel strongly enough about it to super disagree. I think the recruiting has been a pretty decent success. I like Rob Finney and Trace Jackson Davis. Those are for sure his recruits.
Absolutely.
I think those have panned out pretty well. I think there are some others that you could have added to that. And
it's not so much the people that he's gotten, it's the ones that he hasn't been able to land, and there has been an abundance. Ergo the blank scholarships.
Let me say this, and this is going to come across negative. There's no other way to say it, but this is going to come across negative. I'm just going to say the process of having to recruit Romeo Langford made it difficult and set the recruiting process back a year, in my opinion.
Agree 1,000%.
So if you take that into account, he had to
didn't do much for the team.
He had to recruit him. He had no option. He had to recruit him and
had to land him.
And you had to land him, and it was good that you landed him and all that. Now, did it pan out for the way, the fan base basically forced you to recruit him, and when it didn't work out, it was really not the fan base's fault, right? I mean, and I'm not blaming I love the fans. I'm one of the fans. But I'm just saying I wanted them to get him also. It didn't work out. And let's just all say it didn't work out. And let's understand that set the recruiting process back a whole year. And so he's been here. He's really only had 2 recruiting classes. And so let's just be okay with where we're at. I like where we're at. I like the kids coming in next year. I think there's some more they can add to it. I'm super excited to see the transfer portal and what Indiana's able to get from a grad transfer perspective and move on from there. But right now, I mean, what you were saying a minute ago and where I totally agree with you. I don't want him to go anywhere. I want him to be Indiana's coach. I like him. I love the fact he's 100% basketball. What has to happen, and the thing you can't argue with one way or the other, they have to make the NCAA tournament. And that's the barometer for me. You can take how they play or how they get along or what the lineups are and all the other garbage and throw it into a blender. And as long as it comes out at the end, they make the NCAA tournament. That's all that really matters. And that's the barometer for me of whether they're becoming successful or not.
Absolutely. And that success has to continue. It has to be better than last year.
Sure.
And
we have to start worrying about them, how far they get in the tournament.
Exactly.
Not making the tournament.
Exactly. It's got to, every year. I mean, this year, making the tournament is the deal.
You know what?
I don't expect, and I'm not expecting them to go to the Elite Eight or anything crazy, but they got to get there. Next year, they got to do better than this year. There's got to be.
Here's the thing with this team. Here's the thing with this team. All they've got to do is give themselves the opportunity and get there, because we all know. I mean, let's just throw it out there and say it the way that it is. I mean, the teams that I was on, we were fairly lucky. My freshman year, we lost the first game of the NCAA tournament. I can remember back in Indiana losing to Cleveland State one year and losing to Richmond one year. I mean, Bob Knight did not have the great – he either made it to the Sweet 16, Elite 8, Final 4, NCAA championship, or lost in the first game. And that happened a lot. And so, right now, we just got to get them to that point where they have that opportunity. This team, when they made 11 3-pointers a couple of games ago, they literally could have beat anyone in the country on that night. And they've got talent that a lot of other teams don't have. And Trace Jackson Davis gives them something that other teams don't have. Defensively is where they've got to turn it around. And if they can beat anyone, is my whole point. I mean, if they can just give themselves the opportunity to get into the NCAA tournament, I don't care what seed they are, they're going to have an opportunity to win.
They defensively is a big part of why they won on the road at Minnesota the other night. They played tremendous defense in that game.
I mean, think about right now as a team. You take a team like, let's say, Seton Hall or someone like that that's going to end up with a 4 or a 5 seed. How would you like to play Indiana in your first game? I mean, that'd be a pretty bad draw on your part. You end up with a 5 seed playing Indiana as a 12, or you end up with a 6 seed playing Indiana as an 11. That's a pretty bad draw. And I can just assure you, teams don't want to draw Indiana. I mean, first of all, we got to get in the tournament. But once they solidify that, I will tell you, there's a lot of other 10, 11 seeds that teams would want to play other than Indiana.
Tebow hits the text line, says next year the team will be 80% Archie recruits with 2 shooters and a very athletic third recruit coming in. And the possible reclassification of Verlander and Witt. Everybody keeps calling these guys shooters. I don't understand where they're getting this from. Not one of those guys have been hitting consistently from college 3-point range. They're shooting in high school, so they're okay shooters in high school, I guess. That doesn't mean they're going to be great 3-point shooters in college. Look at Armaan Franklin. How many people thought, oh, he's going to be so great? Well, he is probably going to be good, but he's a freshman, and he's going through the process of learning. So these guys that are coming in, Leal and Galloway, I don't know why everybody thinks they're going to come in and be Jay Edwards and Steve Alford, because it's just not going to be the case. You're expecting way too much for guys that are freshmen. Look at Armaan Franklin. How many people thought he was going to be that guy? And he probably will be, like I said, but you have to learn. It's a process.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see Armaan Franklin play in high school, so I don't know what what he was recruited as. And I'm not saying that he's not a good player. I'm saying I don't know if he was recruited as a shooter or not. I will say right now, Trey Galloway and Anthony Leal, specifically, I can speak more about Trey Galloway. Not saying that he's better than Anthony Leal as a shooter, but I've seen him since he was in the first grade play. And I can tell you Trey Galloway's a better shooter right now than every single player on Indiana's team except for Devontae Green. And Devontae Green can get streaky, and he can be as good a shooter as anyone in the entire country. But Trey Galloway is a more consistent shooter today than Devontae Green is. So I will have no problem. You can record this and play it next year when he's at Indiana, and I will tell you, yes, they are much better shooters than what Indiana has to choose from right now.
And I get that, but
that doesn't mean they're going to get on the floor. That's just shooting. I'm just talking about shooting. We'll see how they adapt.
I guess I'm talking about 3-point shooting and the difference. There's 2 in high school and college, and it does matter. That's why all these guys in Indiana has right now.
But you can't blame them because the fact of the line is where it is.
I'm not blaming them. I'm just saying you can't say, not you, people can't just say that they're going to be great shooters because they shoot okay in high school. It's a different distance. They can't say that they're going to be great 3-point shooters.
Here's the thing. Like, okay, shooters are shooters. Like, if you can shoot the ball, it's pretty obvious.
Jay Edwards, Steve Alford, Pat Graham, those guys are shooters.
Chris Reynolds was not recruited to Indiana because of his shooting. Yeah, I mean, I was recruited for my shooting. Pat Graham for his shooting. Damon Bailey because of his shooting. We just had touch. It didn't matter whether the line was 15 feet, 19 feet, or 23
You're just
feet.
Talking about overall touch.
I'm talking about
on
overall
the shot.
ability to shoot. And I can tell you Trey Galloway,
and I agree
from what
with
I've seen of Anthony Leal, he sure appears to be. But I've not seen him near to the extent I've seen Trey Galloway. And I can tell you Trey Galloway can shoot without question.
And this team has been very successful when they get that going. Just the 17-foot elbow jumpers, when they're running that offense to where it's coming from a lot of different places, they get a lot of success from that.
Yeah, and they do. And this team right now would benefit greatly from, guys. I think Armaan Franklin's probably the best 15-foot jump shooter on the team. Now, he's probably the second worst 3-point shooter on the team. So that tells you that distance-wise is a big deal to him. And so, that's just – he's not a pure shooter. He's got good touch. He's got mediocre form at best, but I promise you, I'm going to figure out a way to run into him over the summertime and meet him somewhere off campus.
Bloomington South High School.
What
are you doing here?
I'm going to fix his issue in about 5 minutes.
Well, I'd love to see it. We got to take a break. Tom Brew's going to join us next. Stay tuned. You're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle and Leary coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios on this Friday. And we're back with more right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs, Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville.
Bad theater seats, cheap Halloween masks, my apartment, all things with obstructed views. Add to these large trucks and buses. 18-wheelers and large buses have big blind spots, and like my apartment, they don't always have the best view. Bus and truck drivers deal with blind spots around the entire vehicle. Always take care not to ride alongside or too close behind them. Our roads, our safety. Learn more at sharetheroadsafely.gov.
Hey, it's Michael Lewis, former Indiana University player and current UCLA assistant basketball coach, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat.
Welcome back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, Indiana Sports Beat. Coyle Leary here on this Friday, man. TGIF. I'm happy about it. Tom Brew joins us now. Tom, how are you doing, man?
Tom Brew.
Good to hear it. Glad to know it. Hope all has been well. Hope that's been a good trip. I know he's heading down south to catch Indiana. The baseball team has got a 3-game set that they're playing this weekend down south. Is he with us yet?
Thought I heard him.
I thought I heard him.
Where are they playing? Are they
Alabama,
what? Birmingham?
Yeah, they're playing
UAB?
Down in that warm weather.
Is it UAB?
I think that is where it is. Got to look it up.
No,
Indiana.
it's not.
No, it's
Where
not. Where is?
Tom
There
Brew?
he
Where
is.
are they at?
They are in Mobile, Alabama.
Mobile.
Yep.
How's it
I'm
going down in
getting out here
Mobile?
as
Are you in Mobile yet?
Yes, I am. I got here last night and had me a nice seafood dinner and getting some work done this morning, getting ready to head over for a 2:00 Eastern game. They got Tennessee Martin today, South Alabama, who's really good tomorrow, and then Siena on Sunday. And we made the commitment at Sports Illustrated to cover baseball this year, and it coincides perfectly with my golf trip next week in Biloxi, Mississippi. So I figured send it on a few days early and get our great baseball coverage rolling this weekend too.
Yeah, the South Alabama tournament. Play UT Martin, South Alabama, Siena. Then they come home for Butler. How the hell do they squeeze in a game against Butler at home in February before they head back south again after that?
They at least have to try. It's certainly a weather permitting thing, but that's the flaws of
of playing a college baseball season this time of year. It's obviously set up to to help the teams down south have a massive advantage. That's for sure.
Oh, absolutely. They started the season last week in a horrible place for your opponent, LSU, but they did pretty daggone well. They split a doubleheader. They go 1-2 on the weekend, but number 11 LSU, one of the SEC teams that's a prolific team in college baseball team each season. But, man, that's a great way to start the season.
Sure, especially getting a win out of it in the last game. And, and they actually, LSU's got a great pitching staff, and Indiana, they got a bunch of hits. They just, they left a bunch, the second game, they had a good chance of winning too. And they left 10 guys on base in the last 6 innings. And, they just left too much out there. But Jeff Mercer's talked about, this early part of the season. It's just all about getting better, when whether the wins or the losses, really don't matter. Obviously you like to win when you can, but it's all about just facing quality competition and getting your feet wet a little bit. And then, as the season rolls around and, get into Big Ten play late March, go from there. But
do they announce starting pitchers in advance?
They did. Yep. The same 3 guys who started last weekend are going again this weekend in the same order, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then, Braden Tucker, who really pitched well in the third game with the win, he's gonna pitch Sunday against Siena. So
awesome.
And then you had a Gabe Bierman. I think how did his outing go? I know he pitched on that first day. They lost, but
he pitched the second day. He started the first game.
That's right, the 2 o'clock game. That's right. Yeah, the 2 o'clock game.
And he was okay. He gave up. I think he gave up 3 runs in 6 innings. But he was okay. He just not great, but okay. But it's like you got to give these guys. It's hard for pitchers, when you just been kind of throwing indoors all the time. To step outside and and play. So it's
you're stepping out and playing against somebody who's already been playing in that conditions the whole time. It makes it very difficult. I agree with you.
Sure. Yeah, I got a feeling he's going to be a lot better tomorrow. But that's a good test. Like South Alabama, they're a ranked team, and they're a pretty good test. So it's I'm kind of looking forward to watching how these guys all start here in the second go round.
Will Tommy Summer hit the mound at all this weekend?
Yeah, he's starting today. So
he's starting today. Awesome.
Yeah, he's still. They kept the same order, so he's still their number 1 starter. And now he's the one who really needs to bounce back, because he got lit up pretty good. But like I said, he was having a hard time with control, and they just left way too many pitches over the middle of the plate. And I think we'll see that a lot better today. He's prime time target for me today, is to watch close just to see how well he does today.
I gave him a pregame talk and told him to hit the first guy right in the ribs, so that everybody else backs off the plate. So we'll see how he does.
Yeah. See if that works.
Get rid of the perfect game and cancel.
Yeah, get rid of the forget that perfect game stuff. We'll save that for later in the season. But right now, just being the first guy.
Yeah, this is Jeff Mercer's second season, so now he's coming into this, and he's got the experience of – well, that's not the second season coaching, but at IU. But in this, it's a much different level from what he had been at before. So he's probably going at this, preparing his team even a little bit better than last year, and last year resulted with a Big Ten championship. So good things are probably expected from his team, although I think it's probably going to be a little different team. Last year relied heavily on the long ball. Man, they were second in the country in home runs. Not sure that they're going to be that prolific in that area this year. It may switch around a little more small ball, I think. Talking to Coach Mercer.
Well, I think so, but they've got a lot of depth to their batting order, which is good. I mean, I think 1 through 9, you will see damage get caused, from different guys at different points in the season. I mean, it's and yes, they do have speed, and they've talked a lot about just getting great, getting that extra base from first and third when they can, scoring that extra run from second when they can, and those type of things where it's not not super small ball, but just sort of taking advantage of every opportunity. And they did a lot of that, in their win. They scored 7 against a good LSU team, and every time they had opportunities, they scored in that game. And that's what's going forward. They're confident in the way they're hitting the ball, and they should be. I mean, it's I think they had 28 hits, I think it was, in the 3 games. So it's so they're getting the bat on the ball pretty well. The strikeouts were down. and which against a team like LSU, you take that and go forward. And but like I said, February is just kind of all about getting knocking the rust off and getting better every day.
Absolutely, it's kind of like the golf game.
Well, exactly. There is thankfully a golf course, right across the street from the baseball stadium, and if there's time to hit balls for 30 minutes before I have to go cover the game, I will certainly be doing that. So, the big Brew Cup coming up next week, the 15th annual, and got to try to be a little bit better for that, but we'll see. So, it's all about
we
having
hope
fun
you
with
enjoy
that.
it, and hope you get her one. We're certainly jealous of the weather because it is not. It's not exactly balmy here.
Well, it's only 45 degrees here right now, too, and it's only going to be about 52 degrees at the first pitch, but it's certainly better than what's up there. And but no rain. It looks like 3 straight days of sunny and kind of cooler, mid to high 50s type weather, but no rain, so they should be able to get all 3 games in with no trouble.
Looking forward to it. Tom Brew, have a great weekend. Enjoy your golf.
Thanks, guys. Talk to you soon.
You betcha. Tom Brew, Sports Illustrated Indiana, joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat. Lots more coming up from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. We don't even have to take a break yet, do we? Wilder Fury boxing coming up this weekend, Todd Leary. It's is that I don't know if that's a pay-per-view or not.
Yes, it is.
It is a pay-per-view. I figured it would be, but I hadn't seen it. You don't see a lot of big boxing matches anymore. It's usually UFC that's getting all the attention. So for a boxing match to get the kind of attention this one's getting, that's getting kind of different.
Yeah, it's as a big fat guy myself, it's kind of fun to see big heavyweight fat guys get out there, and I mean these are grown men. When you see what's that little guy,
and these guys hate these guys are pissed at each
Mayweather.
other.
Well,
they literally don't like each other.
Gnat flying around out there. I mean, he's not a boxer. I mean, he's not out there to. I mean, it's a sport to him. I want to see somebody out there to beat somebody's ass.
These guys don't like each other.
These guys are out there to whip.
And they don't like. They had to cancel the official weigh-in because they'd already had trouble with them. So these guys seriously, legitimately do not like each other. A lot of times you see guys that they like when you saw the last UFC match with Conor McGregor. Afterwards, they were all respectful of each other. Not these guys. These guys
hugged each other after the last match.
Yeah, this is not gonna. They're not gonna be hugging each other this time.
It's all promotion. I don't care if they like each other or not. I mean, just the fact that when they get out there, I mean, guys can like each other. LeBron and KD can like each other, but as long as they're on the court, they're trying to smash each other's face in. That's all I'm worried about. And this fight, I don't ever watch any UFC stuff. I don't ever watch any of that garbage, but a lot of people love it, and I shouldn't even call it garbage because I don't watch it enough to know. But this fight looks like it's going to be cool. I mean, these two big giant humans smashing each other. I mean, it's either going to be 10 seconds worth of entertaining and somebody's going to get knocked out, or it's going to be just a bruiser.
Alan Henderson from Twitter Sphere, the Twitter blogosphere or whatever, says, "Okay, I'm late. Just watched on DVR. It's so hard to win on the road in the Big Ten. Great bounce back win, Indiana basketball." He's talking about the Minnesota game. Yeah. He's on it.
Well, it's a good thing. I was up all night wondering what Alan Henderson's opinion was of that game. So glad he checked in.
Everybody can rest safely now.
I already compared Trace Jackson Davis's performance to an Alan Henderson type performance. So we had an Alan Henderson speaking this week already.
He said that, or you did?
I did.
Yeah, I know you did. I was going to say he said it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
If he starts talking in third person, talking about Alan Henderson, then I'm calling him directly, and we're going to have a talk.
Hey, we got lots more here on Indiana Sports Beat from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, and we're back with it to finish out the show right after this.
Oh, Mr. Blue Sky, please tell us why you had to hide away for so.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs, Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dawkins.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville.
Bad theater seats, cheap Halloween masks, my apartment, all things with obstructed views. Add to these large trucks and buses. 18-wheelers and large buses have big blind spots, and like my apartment, they don't always have the best view. Bus and truck drivers deal with blind spots around the entire vehicle. Always take care not to ride alongside or too close behind them. Our roads, our safety. Learn more at sharetheroadsafely.gov.
Hi, this is AJ Moye, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
Here, the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Jim Coyle, Todd Leary with you. It is Friday. Man, dude, we're in late February. I cannot believe this. I keep saying this, but it just keeps flying right along. We're going to be in spring here soon. We're talking baseball. NCAA tournaments getting closer and closer.
Is spring just basically the day the first conference tournament starts all the way through the Final Four, and then it's it? And then it's summer?
Kind of, pretty much.
That's the way my seasons are based on the sport, right?
Yeah, I mean, and March 4th, I think, is when Indiana opens up conference play.
Fall. When does fall start? First football game?
Yep.
I mean, that's
in everyone's mind.
Right. I mean, that's pretty much what it's based off of.
You know the two words I still can't get out of my mind from today?
Sports Illustrated?
Chinese Rudy.
Chinese Rudy. Yeah, I know. That took me a minute. It took me a minute.
Now stop and envision Rudy and then make him Chinese. It's funny because you don't see Chinese in football.
This could go so politically incorrect.
Oh no, I'm not going that way.
Hey,
I hear you though. You're exactly right. It certainly could if I let it. I'm not going to let that happen. It would be on my part, not yours. You're the professional. I'm the idiot. I'm just saying. I don't know about that, but
it is. He caught us off guard because I was.
Boy, I'm telling you,
I can't
get it out of my mind. It's whew.
And then he wanted to turn
now
the
I must see the
into
movie.
A basketball player.
I must see the movie now. That movie must be made. That
well, based on his description, it's 37 years away. So we'll both be dead by the time it comes out.
Oh,
he really
man.
sounded excited about the process of making a movie, didn't he?
Well, how can you be? It takes 3 years. I guess there's not a lot to get excited about. It's a long, thought-out process. Indiana taking on Penn State on Sunday. Oh, don't forget the Indiana women's team also looking for a sweep of Minnesota up at the Barn on Sunday. They haven't swept Minnesota since 2001, number 24 Indiana, so they're looking to do that. And Minnesota, I think they've lost their last 3 games heading into this. So good luck to Terry Morin's women's basketball squad. Indiana men's team hosting Penn State on Sunday at the Simon Scott Assembly Hall, noon on Fox. That means after the game of Todd Leary coming to you live from Yogi's about 2 o'clock. It's on Facebook Live. Also, you can catch us wherever you catch a podcast, if I remember to start it.
Or you can come in and challenge me in a mini corn dog eating contest live.
Ooh.
I'll win. Don't even try it. Just choose something else because
throwing it down, the mini corn dog eating contest with Todd Leary.
That's not even it's not even a contest. You guys could come in and pretend like you were playing for second.
Do you all think the hide behind the keyboard fan comments are putting too much pressure on some of the players? I think that's a joke, first of all. I saw somebody post yesterday what I think is a stupid post, but talking about a freshman, their coach saying, why would you want to go to Indiana with all those negative comments? I'm like, what an ignorant statement to make. First of all, there is not a fan base of any high-profile team that doesn't act the exact same way. It's all that crap is everywhere. So I'm just tired of that crap.
The weird part is I was thinking about this sitting at Chick-fil-A this morning.
At 6 a.m.
At 6 a.m.
And they don't open until 6:30.
And I was thinking to myself, like, if someone truly is not selecting the school because the fan base is too tough on them, I don't want them to go there anyway.
Exactly.
That's the definition of soft.
That's exactly what I posted yesterday to almost verbatim.
Is it really? I mean,
I spelled out soft. I highlighted soft. I'm like, they're soft.
I mean, if you're that sensitive, then all of a sudden I got to worry about whether the coach yells at you one way or another, or whether it hurt your feelings, or if he cussed at you, or how his language is. I mean, just give me a break. Like if you're not choosing the school because the fan base is too tough on him, and I see something about Tom Izzo posting something about, he had recruits come in where they said how critical the Indiana fan base was. Well, good. I don't want them coming. I do not want to have to root for that kid here because he's soft.
That is so funny. That's blowing my mind because my exact response, I just lifted it out in 4 points. Number one, when people talk, they go on Facebook and they make some outlandish statement. I don't usually see that statement, but what I see is the 10,000 people talking about that statement. So the people that talk about people, they do more harm than good. But I agree with you 1,000%. And that was my exact point next is you hear a lot of people talk about how soft kids are today. And I think this is the exact reason why you're making them soft. You're insulating them from everything. And they have to want to go play for the coach and play for the school. Who cares about social media? Grow up.
Well, I mean, it's a part of life. It's a factor in it now, and you have to deal with it. And here's the thing, here's what I would say, and it's not an indictment saying someone's a bad person or not a tough kid or not whatever it is. But if you don't want that, then just simply don't choose it. Like don't act like people are bad people because we're critical because we love IU basketball. You know what? Everyone has an opinion. Social media, we didn't have it back in Bob Knight's days, so no, you can't really compare it. What would it have been like? We'll never know.
Saw a post yesterday that said Keon Brooks was the worst recruit in the John Calipari era.
From a Kentucky fan?
Yes, from a Kentucky fan.
I mean, and last year Archie took a beating for not landing him, and everybody, not everybody, a ton of Indiana fans were super upset when he chose Kentucky. And again, I'll refer back to AAU basketball, and I've coached against him for a long time. And personality-wise, he wasn't an Indiana kid. And if you don't know you're an Indiana kid, that's where you want to go and play, then you're choosing the wrong school. And it's that simple. It truly is that simple.
Joker sent in a text that I would love for Archie to take a long, hard look at Luke Brown. This kid has Seth Curry range. Even if he sits as a freshman, sophomore years, he could help his junior, senior year. Sometimes take a chance on a kid who wants to be a Hoosier. We've heard a lot about this kid. Yeah, he can score a lot, but I don't know that he can play in Division I. I haven't seen him personally play. I've heard a lot of people say that his defense may be a liability, and I don't care if you can score a lot. If you can't play defense, they're probably not going to look at you.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I take a different approach on that because
they haven't looked at him for some reason.
I can teach somebody how to play defense. I can't teach somebody how to have good touch. You're either born with it or you're not. And
he works his butt off on that. He does all those Steph Curry drills and all that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I have never seen him play in person. I've heard a lot about him. I've never seen him play. So I'd be stupid to sit here and speak one way or the other. I'll just say he's playing. The numbers that he puts up are not nearly as impressive to me as just watching him shoot and things like that. Like I've seen videos of him shoot, and he's a really good shooter with good touch. Now, the points he puts up doesn't mean anything because they're not playing anybody.
And the fact that he's not being recruited by Indiana, there has to be a reason. Now, but on the other hand, you have to say, well, Archie didn't recruit Nigel Pack. He didn't recruit the kid that's going to Louisville. He didn't recruit. There's a lot of other kids that he didn't recruit from Indiana either. So I don't know if that's a great reason, but I think it's because they don't think he is a Big Ten caliber player. I'm not saying he is or isn't. I'm just telling you what I think is the reason Indiana's not recruiting him, to my knowledge.
Yeah, I mean, and I have a different skewed opinion of recruiting. Obviously, because in today's world, with who Archie Miller recruits, he wouldn't have recruited Todd Leary. He wouldn't have recruited Archie Miller either. And so that I disagree with. Like I think there's a fine line between, you've got to have the athleticism and the size, but then again, you've also got to have some guys that have, just pure skill. And I've heard this since I'll never forget it. Obviously, it was the easiest part of the game for me. But I remember somebody telling me when I was young that there's always room for a shooter on a team. And so, I mean, what do kids do? This is what I don't understand. So you get a guy who's not a very good shooter. And I'm just going to use Chris Reynolds because he's a friend of mine. And I know he wouldn't take offense to me saying this like this. But, I mean, like when I go out with my buddies when I'm a kid, like we used to go out, we'd always just go shoot around. Well, what do those guys do that can't shoot? Like, what do they do? They go out and dribble? Like, what do they do when they go play in the pickup games and stuff? They just see how many assists they can get? I don't understand it. I mean, I'll go over the hyper later today, and I'll teach some of these young kids, the way the world works. I'll lay them in with the basket like I do Jake.
Something that I thought of the other day, instead of, it used to be the gym rats, people like you that just shooting, always out shooting, always in there shooting, like that Luke Brown kid probably is.
Sure.
But they're out playing Fortnite. They're spending more time playing Fortnite than they are putting up shots. I'm not kidding. That's the kind of stuff.
I mean, I don't even know.
I'm not saying you have to do it all day and spend your entire life doing it, but I think that there is something to that.
Have to do it all day. Yeah, I am saying that, and I'm saying this. Like, I want, I think there are kids out there who, I don't know. I have heard it's been said to me that certain kids are not Big Ten caliber players, and that is, to me, I don't understand it. I don't like it. I don't like it that way. They either can play or they can't play. And there's too many kids that are going to places, like Northern Iowa and places like that you sure would like to have on your team after about 2 years.
That a lot of people end up bringing back as grad transfers.
AJ Green.
I mean, I talked about it earlier. You think Kentucky would have ever in any world recruited Sestina as a freshman? But who's on their team shooting 3-pointers for them right now?
Right. When they play good, when they play their best, he's a big part of it. And it's weird to me how I don't know. I don't want to talk in particulars about any certain people, but it's just weird to me how the athleticism, Coach Knight always wanted athletes, but I think it was the secondary factor that you looked at. And, the first factor was basketball skill and IQ. And then it was, I'll teach them to be more athletic and probably cost them. Who knows? If Coach Knight had the Fab Five and those guys would have played hard, who knows? He might have won five college national championships with those guys. But I mean, he dealt with us. And
how much did Coach Knight enjoy beating people like the Fab Five? Not because of anything other than the recognition they got and all that stuff.
A lot.
And it wasn't the type of basketball that he played, that he coached. I mean, he had to just get immense. And he went 3-1 against those guys.
Yeah. The thing I think that Coach Knight, I got him later in his career. I mean, I was there from 90 to 94. I mean, he had already coached for 20 some years. And at that point, like, I think he enjoyed the challenge of trying to, do something different. And like I said the other day, like I said in the Minnesota game, Coach Knight in that game, I can assure you, Coach Knight would have started that game out and Justin Smith would have guarded Daniel Oturu. And I'm sure there's no way Minnesota would have known that was coming, and it would have taken him a little bit to figure out how to deal with that. And I think Justin Smith, he was the perfect candidate to guard him, in my opinion. Instead, we put a 6'10" super slow guy on him, and he scores a basket and gets a foul in 32 seconds. I mean, it just Coach Knight, I think, enjoyed the little parts of the game and trying to do something different and make it difficult on the other teams. And that's why I think he was successful.
Yeah. I mean, that's, you think of just people in any artists or whatever, those people that are just way up there, they like those crazy challenges that the normal person wants no part of. They want nothing to do with. And that's all they want, because that's what stimulates them, because they are geniuses. And Bob Knight was a genius. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah, I mean, you want to know one of the reasons why Damon Bailey was as good at IU as he was, it's because when Coach Knight brought him in, if people really went back and watched the film and analyzed it, Damon Bailey played in the post probably as much as Alan Henderson did. And Damon's big advantage was if Damon got somebody his size or smaller guarding him, he would take him straight to the post. And he was one of the best guard post players that there was, primarily because he played center in high school. And, that is something that you don't ever see. Like, why do we never see – I can guarantee you right now, if Devontae Green or Rob Finney or Al Durham went to the Hyper building this summer and played, and they were playing against some guys from, name the fraternity, whatever it would be, and they got some 5'11" guy guarding him out there, the first thing they would do would be back him into the post and shoot some move over the top of him. And I don't understand why we don't do that in the games right now. I mean, we have an advantage. Rob Finney's stronger than almost every guard he plays against. And I can assure you, Devontae Green is as creative around the basket as anyone in college basketball. I'd love to see him go in there and post somebody up. I'd love to see him make a move and make a pass to Trace Jackson Davis cutting down the lane. I'd love to see anything different than running the shot clock all the way down to 7 seconds and Joey Brunk shooting some ridiculous fadeaway shot that he falls down on.
What did you say you'd like to do after the show today?
Play 36 holes on the simulator at Uncle Andy's.
Well, a certain someone is doing that right now, listening to the show. We're working, slaving hard away at this. Man. Hey, it has been a great week. It has been a great show. Dean Garrett, national champion from 1987 Indiana squad. Angelo PIzzo on with us. Talked to Tom Brew. Talked about a Chinese Rudy today. I mean, talked great stories with Dean Garrett. I can't get the Chinese Rudy out of my head. That's going to stick with me for a while. But
I heard Dean Garrett say he wakes up every morning and polishes his ring off 6 o'clock every morning. Is that what he said?
I think so. And listens to Indiana Sports Beat with Coy O'Leary.
That's right.
Every day, man. Hey, Sunday, Indiana hosting Penn State at the Simon Scott Assembly Hall. That game's at noon on Fox. But, of course, that means after the game with Todd Leary starts approximately at 2 p.m. live from Yogi. So you can join us there or listen to us on Facebook or wherever you find a podcast because we're looking forward to it. Cannot wait, man. It's been another great week and a great show. Thanks a lot to Jake, Todd. Can't wait, man. Hopefully we can go hit some balls next. Until Monday or until Sunday, I'm Jim Coyle, and I will see you on the radio.